Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar around optimizing Walmart marketplace listings. We get started in just a few minutes. We are also streaming this webinar on YouTube as well. So if you know any folks who have not registered as of yet, we'll be sharing that link in just a moment on LinkedIn. Hello, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started now. Thank you all for joining us for 5 ways to optimize your Walmart marketplace listings. My name is Chris Mott. I am the head of growth here at Merchant Spring. Merchant Spring is a multi-marketplace analytics tool helping brand owners, agencies, and aggregators better understand how well their business is performing at a high level, drilling all the way down to the product level. And we have more than 15 different modules to choose from in our platform. Today's conversation is going to be off platform, talking specifically about some top strategies to optimize your listings on Walmart. Paul Sunveld, our co-founder, is going to be the main speaker for this webinar. And if you have any questions about any of the content during this webinar, please feel free to message me in the chat box. If we don't get back to all of the questions in this webinar, we will follow up via email. With that being said, Paul, why don't you take it away?
Thanks, Chris. Just confirming you can hear me okay. Look, it's great to be here, guys, and it's great to see the number of registrations come through for this webinar. Clearly, there is a massive demand for Walmart. And I fully agree with that. And I'll give you some of my perspective in a sec. Just a very quick introduction. Chris already spoke about our platform. I'm one of the co-founders. We founded Merchant Spring back 4 or 5 years ago now. Our platform is really designed for multiplace market sellers, brand owners, agencies, and aggregators. We cover 75 different marketplaces, but clearly Amazon, Walmart, eBay, and Shopify, we probably are top 4 connections at this point in time. But today is not about the platform. You actually see very little about platform. Today is really about how do you get great content on Walmart. So why should you even bother, right, in terms of making your content specific to Walmart? Well, first of all, Walmart, as you would have seen, Walmart has really grown substantially. They've almost doubled the number of sellers on their platform since last year. They're growing very, very fast in terms of seller uptake, especially since they opened up the platform to international sellers last year. So competition among sellers is certainly increasing. But what is really interesting is that despite all that, Walmart still represents a wonderful opportunity. Simply because it's a curated marketplace, so not every seller that applies gets to be accepted, but also the size of the users on the platform compared to the number of sellers is really favorable. And I've put a little chart here just to show you that comparison. On average, and these are obviously very plain averages, but on average, there are about 99 visitors to the Amazon website for every seller that sells. If you take that same equation, you'll find there's about 1,200 on Walmart. So there's more, I'd like to say, you know, there's more fish food to go around. There's more opportunity on the Walmart platform. You know, 40% of Amazon sellers right now are considering selling on Walmart Marketplace. So it's certainly out there, particularly for North American sellers. You know, if you're trading off, you know, do I now expand into Amazon UK or Germany, or stay at home but move on to Walmart? You know, certainly there are pros and cons of both, but sort of staying within your own geographical area initially anyway allows you to reduce a number of complexities that come with, you know, expansion overseas and into Europe, for example. So we think it's a really good opportunity, and I think we'll learn a lot more about Walmart this year. Now, listing quality is something that Walmart really cares about. And it goes without saying, they think about, you know, what makes a quality listing a little bit differently than Amazon. You know, for the purpose of this talk, I'm assuming a lot of you have had a lot of exposure to Amazon. You know, Walmart is asking for different optimization techniques and different ways of doing that. So, you know, I think where a lot of sellers, certainly Amazon sellers, report poor experiences is when they take their existing Amazon content, put onto Walmart, and then they're not really happy with the sales they're getting on Walmart. In order to really get those sales, you need to optimize your listings on Walmart, and it's part of the reason we're all here. One thing that's very different about Walmart is that Walmart provides you with a number of great interfaces that will tell you exactly how you are doing in terms of your overall listing quality. And what's also very transparent at Walmart is the score that your listing gets around listing quality is almost directly proportionate to the number of page views and visits and conversion that you'll see. You know, we manage hundreds of Walmart accounts across our platform, and we see a very strong correlation between listing quality and traffic and sales. So it certainly is worth investing in this area. Before we do that, we probably need to take a step back and think about, you know, how does Walmart actually think about listing optimization? You know, let's get into their mind, right? They talk about the Walmart optimization triangle, which you can see here. And there are really three components of it: content and discoverability. So that's all about the product display page and the various aspects you can optimize there. There is the offer, which includes not just the price, but also your shipping price, your shipping methodology, and also your in-stock rate. So how good are you at staying in stock? And then last, we're talking ratings and reviews. You know, this forms a direct component into the listing quality, but there are some really interesting aspects to rating and reviews that we do not find, say, on Amazon platform that you can certainly use to your advantage. So let's, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on each of those, making sure that you not only understand what's required, but that you take away a couple of really practical tips and nuggets that you can apply. So let's start with content. So content breaks down into a number of different areas, right? And, you know, perhaps we should look at an example product display page here first for Walmart. The first thing that, you know, you can see is, you know, the titles are typically shorter than what you find on Amazon. Talk about that a bit more. There are no feature bullets directly below the title. They are below the description here, almost at the bottom of the page. For many users, these will be below the fold. But a description, the about this item section there is much larger and much more important, which we'll get to in a sec. So Walmart lays out the information quite differently to Amazon. And you know, we'll talk about each of those things. Before I do that, though, I want to talk just about the category aspects, because this is probably the number one issue that we find when we review client accounts, particularly if you're using different forms of integration software where category mapping happens automatically. Don't assume that the category mapping is right. You know, if you're in the wrong category, if you've been mapped to the wrong category, that could kill off your visibility completely. So before we do any content optimization, I would encourage you to do a quick check to understand, are your products actually mapped to the right categories? There's complicated ways of doing that, but one practical tip here is just to download all of your listings from the platform. Make sure you've got the category title in a field there, and just run a quick pivot on that so you can see which items are mapped to which category, and you'll be able to spot issues very, very, very quickly. It's really important that you solve the category allocation and mapping first before we move on to any other optimization. Let's talk about product titles. The product titles are shorter on Walmart than they are on Amazon. I'd really encourage you to limit the title to 50 to 75 characters to ensure that you really got that best reading ability for desktop and for SEO. Create really clear, specific product titles that people can really understand. Typical structure here is, brand, item name, model name, style, attribute, etc., etc. Each category will have a slightly different syntax, so make sure that you read the style guides for a specific category to make sure that you adhere to those. Of course, keywords are important, but don't go overboard. Don't keyword stuff, and this is true for many platforms now. But you should reduce the efforts in this space more than you would do, say, on Amazon. And really, going back to the earlier point, make sure that the title actually makes sense, that when someone glances at it, it makes sense. Walmart places a lot of importance on that. Certainly on the Amazon platform, a lot of times the titles become short paragraphs, and it's great for SEO, and it works because you've got your feature bullets to go right there on the top of the page as well. Walmart is different, so think very carefully about how you do that title. In terms of descriptions, now this is actually an area where you should invest more time than you do on Amazon. So make sure that you include your own product name and brand in the actual descriptions. Of course, talk about the features and benefits, and target at least 150 words. You can actually do a lot more, but target at least 150 words as a minimum in a single paragraph. And of course, the usual copywriting tips apply here as well, right? Ensure that the description is useful, relevant, clear, easy for customers to understand, and try not to repeat yourself too much. Be specific, informative. Don't try to romanticize things too much, or fluffy or generic. Really, what you want to do is you want to show your expertise, knowledge, and authority about that particular product. So that's very, very relevant there. If your product comes in multiple variants, different sizes or different colors, I'd encourage you to make sure that's in the description as well. So in summary, invest substantially more time in the description on Walmart than you might do on Amazon. Feature highlights. So these are similar to the Amazon bullets, but different, right? They appear, as I said before, below the description. So they're not as visible as they are on the Amazon platform. Really, the other difference here is you have substantially less text and word count to play with. So maximum 80 characters versus Amazon, I think 200 characters. So you've got to be short and concise. Now you can have up to 10 bullet points. The way I would think about prioritizing them is, don't just write some interesting things about the product. Try and go back, maybe look at your Amazon reviews or your Shopify reviews, or try and understand what are the questions that consumers have asked. I always have this sort of rule for every one customer that asks a question about your product, maybe 10 don't ask, and they'll just abandon your cart altogether. Think about those questions and use these bullet points to provide informative answers to those questions. We've got some great examples there, for example. So yeah, think about that. And it goes without saying, make sure you order them in priority, right? Put the answer to the most important question at the top. Try and do all of that with only a couple of words, so you stay within that 80 character limit. It's really talking 5 to 7 words or so. Let's move on to the next piece, which are images. Now, this is probably the easiest section because the Walmart image guidelines are very, very similar to what Amazon asks for. So in many cases, if your images have been approved by Amazon, you'll be able to reuse them on Walmart. It's unlikely that you'll run into an issue where Walmart may not approve or not like your image if it's been approved with Amazon, because their policies are very, very similar. Having said that, I was speaking to a number of Amazon experts in Europe this week, and there are really clear differences between different categories. In some categories, marketplaces will be very, very strict, like, anything to do with, baby food, for example, whereas others, drink bottles for adults, they won't be as strict. So there are differences by category here. But, the usual rules apply here. Last, I want to talk about attributes. And, this doesn't just apply to Walmart, but we see that completing category-specific attributes, so specific information that helps the user make a more informed decision and helps them to browse and filter to get to your product, is an area that we see is heavily neglected, whether it's Amazon, Walmart, eBay, and we've seen this across other marketplaces as well. Now, Walmart released last year item spec 4.0, which means the latest and greatest category-specific attributes that they want you to complete, and they split between what are the required attributes versus what are optional and recommended. And the number of category attributes and the specific ones clearly vary by category. So if you're in category A, the attributes will be different to listing your products in category B. Hence my initial comment around, you really make sure that your product is mapped to the right category first, because if that's not fixed, then this is going to be a waste of time, because you're going to be completing the wrong attributes, and you'll probably work out, hey, a lot of these attributes don't even make sense. So if you're finding that the attributes are completely not relevant to your product, you may just want to check the category that your product is listed in and fix that up as well. The good side here is we have seen enormous benefits from particularly page views, so from an SEO point of view, and driving people to your page by completing the attributes, right? And we would always recommend, of course, as a prioritization, we'll talk about that a little bit later, because it's not like we've got infinite amount of time, but we would recommend certainly for your best sellers that you complete all of the attributes. Don't just do the required ones, do all of them. You'll find that your SEO improves, you'll have a leg up over your competitors, and you'll be found more often, particularly as users drill down the navigation menu, use different filter options, and you'll get to a point where you might be the only competitor left because no one else has bothered to complete their attributes. So certainly at this point in time, still a fairly new concept, still not done by many sellers. It's a great opportunity to stand out. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, which I don't have a slide for here, is that Walmart does offer the ability to do like the equivalent of A+ content. They call it rich media. So you can upload charts, images, videos, and the whole lot. There's a lot of flexibility there. The only challenge or obstacle here is that as a seller, you cannot do it directly yourself. You need to use one of the approved content providers for Walmart to get that content onto your site. So if you go to the Walmart partner directory, you'll find there is a range of content partners that will allow you, through the use of third-party tools, to upload rich content to the site. It doesn't do great for SEO, but it clearly benefits the page experience, the user experience, and hence the conversion rate as well. Now that's just one part of the triangle. We've just covered the content and the actual product information piece. Let's move on to the second piece, which is the offer. And obviously, I would say content is enormously important, not just for organic purposes, but for paid activities as well. If you get your content right, you'll find that not only you get the results and rewards organically, you'll also find that your ACOS will start to improve, or your TROAS will start to improve across the paid campaigns that you're running for Walmart. So it's very much the foundation to build much more of your broader strategy as well. Now let's talk about the offer. The offer actually consists of a number of items. So yes, it's the item price, and I think this is the most straightforward piece to understand. And there's a section within the Walmart seller dashboard where you can actually look at specific pricing opportunities. Now, the price itself, just to be really clear and transparent, the price itself is not factored into the listing quality, but the other components are. So your in-stock rate, in layman's terms, that is really a measure of not how much stock you have right now. Of course, product needs to be available for your offer to appear, but it's also much more around how good has your performance been over time in keeping a product in stock. So can you deliver for a customer consistently? And how does Walmart make sure that you are not dipping in and out of stock all the time, and hence are not able to provide that reliable experience? So in-stock rate, very, very important. Shipping speed and cost, I'll talk about that as well. Of course, shipping cost is part of the total price that a consumer will pay, and hence part of the offer. And many, as we know from lots of other platforms, offering free shipping is obviously very, very important. It's a great conversion driver for that. But in terms of shipping speed, let me talk more specifically about that. So Walmart has a number of different shipping options. There's standard shipping, put a fee there, or you can also choose to do expedited delivery. So next day, Walmart 2-day, and Walmart 3-day. Now, Walmart 2-day and 3-day, are a little bit similar to, say, Prime, right? Because a badge or a smart tag will be applied to your listing, and there are a whole lot of consumers that are looking for products, that have that badge. And certainly, Walmart 2-day shipping is extremely popular. Providing free shipping, get it to your house in 2 days is really, really great. But there's a catch. Actually, before I talk about that, there's a great benefit. So Walmart themselves claim that you can see up to a 40% lift in sales by switching, say, from a standard shipping to a Walmart 2-day shipping. So that's certainly there. Other providers talk about a conversion improvement between 30 and 50% being part of the Walmart 2-day program. So I'm talking specifically about the Walmart 2-day program here, not the 3-day. So it's a very compelling program, and I would certainly encourage you to find ways to get as many of your products into that program, which brings us to the next question, which is, okay, how do we actually do that? You don't get to be part of the Walmart 2-day shipping program from day one, unfortunately. Walmart is quite restrictive around who gets to participate in this program, and there are certain criteria that you need to meet. As opposed to the 3-day program, you can join from the start. The 2-day program, you need to earn the right to participate in that program. And I've spoken about some of the benefits, but similar to Prime on Amazon, it actually increases your visibility in search. It also improves your ability to win the buy box. Certainly if you're up against a non-Walmart 2-day shipping item or seller, I should say. And you don't have to do 2-day shipping across the US. You can actually do this on a regional basis as well. So there's a bit of flexibility in the program. But as I mentioned before, you do have to earn the right. So first of all, to be eligible, you need to have been selling for 90 days or have fulfilled at least 100 orders, and your returns policy needs to be in line what Walmart expects. So you can look that up. I won't go into too much detail there today. But then it comes down to performance. So Walmart will look at how have you been performing for your customers? Are you able to fit into that program? So that includes a 95% on-time shipping, 95% on-time delivery, 95% or greater valid tracking rate, and the cancellation rate of less than 1.5%. So, not easy metrics to deliver. Certainly, if I'm thinking about last year in Q4, with a lot of the challenges around supply chain logistics, even last mile delivery in many regions in the US, this would have been hard. But I think as things start to normalize, it's certainly possible to do this. You do have another option, by the way, and that option is to use a Walmart approved fulfillment and delivery business. So I've put Deliver on there. That's one example. ShipBob has just been approved as well. So if you use one of those two companies, you automatically participate in the 2-day shipping program, which obviously is a bit of a shortcut. And of course, Walmart fulfillment services, Walmart's equivalent to Amazon's FBA program. If you're into that program, you automatically qualify for Walmart 2-day shipping as well. So certainly worth looking into that program and making sure that, maybe even starting with your, top 10 bestsellers to do that. All right, that brings us to the last aspect of listing optimization. And, it's sort of odd, even as I'm speaking, I'm talking about listing optimization, but we've moved well beyond content now. And it's just a good example to remind ourselves that, Walmart thinks about listing quality much more holistically. It's not just about writing a great title. It's about the offer. And last but not least, it is about ratings and reviews as well. I'm sure many of you are familiar with both seller ratings and product ratings on the Amazon platform. Walmart is similar. So the Walmart process is they also send out a request for feedback form about 14 days after an order has been placed, asking both about the product and about the experience as a seller. And if they don't get a response, Walmart will send a follow-up 7 days later. The key difference here with Amazon is Walmart does this automatically for you, right? So, with Amazon, you'll have to go back into Seller Central, open up the order, click the request review button, or, use something like Merchant Spring to automate that process for you. With Walmart, they do that for you already. So you don't have to worry about that. It's always being sent out using a standard template. So it's a bit of a time saver compared to other marketplaces. Now, it's important to note that you'll get product feedback and seller feedback, and marketplaces place a lot of importance on this feedback. What do you do if you have a negative review, either on the product side or a seller side? Of course, there are many instances where the marketplace won't be able to do anything about that. If it's a genuine negative review, there's there's really nothing to do. However, there are examples, and this is the first thing I would encourage everyone to check every time you get a negative review to see, does the review comply with Walmart's policy? Are there opportunities to maybe get it removed? Some great examples that we see there is, review about a seller is left in a product review or vice versa. So they filled in the form incorrectly. So that's a great way to get negative feedback removed. The other aspect is if the star rating doesn't match the comment. So for example, you may be given 1 star for a product review, but the customer is just raving how wonderful and how great the product is. If there's an inconsistency between the description and the actual star reviews, again, that creates opportunities for the review to be potentially removed. And then there are other examples as well. If the review or the comments just are not relevant, or let's say there's a comment about shipping performance, but there was something that was completely beyond your control, right? Or it was Walmart that was actually doing delivery for you. Again, in those instances, you can ask for reviews to be removed. So no one wants negative reviews, so let's double down, making sure that we remove as many as possible where we have a good case for it. Last but not least, Walmart has a couple of different programs that either don't exist on the Amazon front or are no longer around. It has a really strong partnership with Zavoice around ratings and reviews. And there are really 2 aspects to that. There is one program called Spark Reviewer. This is quite similar to the Amazon, Amazon used to have a program called Amazon Vine, where there's a range of very loyal shoppers that get sent products and they're asked to provide a review for it. The Spark Reviewer program on Walmart is very similar. So it's really a sampling program that puts the high priority products in the hand of Walmart's most loyal shoppers in exchange for honest reviews on Walmart.com. Of course, there's no guarantee that you'll get a positive review. You'll get an honest review. It's really best used periodically over the year for strategic items, top sellers, seasonal or exclusive products and the like. It costs about $30 per product to run this, plus the product cost and the cost of the samples, of course. The second part, as part of this program, is syndicated reviews that happens through Bazaar Voice. So if you give you an example, if you're, for example, running a Shopify store and you are already using Bazaar Voice to collect reviews for your transactions and for your products there, you have the ability to syndicate those products onto your Walmart listings, provided the products are the same. So if you've collected reviews in the past through other channels, there's an opportunity to actually syndicate those and push them onto the Walmart platform. So that's a great way to really accelerate the number of reviews that you have and do that very quickly. Even if you haven't used Bazaar Voice in the past, but you have collected reviews, maybe with another third-party provider, you can still push those through Bazaar Voice onto Amazon, with the only exception being that they will look at every single review and determine if it's valid or not before they push it onto Walmart. But again, I think it's a great opportunity to optimize some of those assets, some of that information that you've collected elsewhere, and quickly deploy them to improve your conversion and click-through on the Walmart platform. So certainly worth having a look into that as well. We are getting close to the end of this session. So we've now covered the offer, the content, ratings and reviews. Here is my little plug for Merchant Spring. As Chris mentioned, we've got lots of great modules in our platform, and we allow you to connect literally hundreds of different selling accounts into a single space. One of the great tools we have is this listing quality dashboard, as you can see here. It's fairly similar to what you see inside Walmart, but we've added some additional metrics here to really help you prioritize which listings you should really go for. If you have 1,000 listings on Walmart.com, you only have a few hours of the day today. Maybe which are the 20 or 30 listings you want to pick up first? We'll help you answer those questions. Let me finish up with just my 5 tips. This is really a summary of our talk today. And then I'm happy to open to questions. So what are the 5 takeaways here in terms of Walmart listing optimization? The first things, and this is what this webinar is all about, make sure you invest the time in optimizing for Walmart according to their style guide and what they would like to see. Don't just replicate your Shopify or Amazon content and hope for the best. Number 2, complete your category-specific attributes. You get a great uplift from that. In brackets, make sure you're in the right category. 2-day shipping is really worth pursuing. So either earn the right or seriously consider using WFS, Deliver, or ShipBob, for example, third party. If you have reviews, make sure you make the most of them and accelerate the reviews on Walmart through syndication, through Bazaar Voice, and think about what products you want to tackle first in terms of listing quality improvement. Don't boil the ocean. Think about what are going to be your best sellers, where do you have the most stock, where do you have your lowest return rate. Start with those sorts of products first and then work from there. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got a couple of things out of that you can take away and really apply to your Walmart account this week. I'm happy to take questions if there are any this morning.
So I'm looking around here. There are one or two questions that I answered in our various chats here. We'll leave the chats open for a few more minutes here. We are at 3 minutes after, but as Paul said, if there are any last questions, happy to take them now. So just to reiterate what Paul was saying regarding our platform, we are happy to give everyone on this call and listening free 14-day trial of the platform. So if you are an account manager or you manage multiple marketplaces and Walmart's one of them, we're happy to walk you through all of the functionality and resources that we have to offer within the platform. We do also have special startup pricing. There are some criteria that you'll have to meet there. And I'm happy to, as a part of the email that we send out with the recording of this webinar, send that information in the email as well. If you don't have any more questions at this time, but you do have questions, if you're watching this on demand or streaming it on YouTube on demand, feel free to email either of us, and we're more than happy to follow up with you. My email address is Chris, CHRIS, @merchantspring.io. And Paul's email address, the same, Paul @merchantspring.io. Let me see, it looks like there's one or two more questions here. Oh, it looks like that was answered. Yeah, if there's nothing else, I appreciate everyone joining us for this webinar. We did have registrants from more than 23 countries. We would love to have your input as to what future webinar topics you'd like us to cover as well. So please feel free to reach out with us. And as we mentioned, we will be sending out the recording of this webinar within 24 hours. Thank you all so much.